Welcome back to another exciting episode of Cyber Defense TV. I'm your host, Gary Malevsky, and the publisher of Cyber Defense Magazine. I have a very special guest sitting in my hot seat. We are going to have an amazing deep dive on things we love to talk about behind closed doors. It's all about the binaries. So TJ Kung is the co-founder and CEO of Insignary. Got it right?
You have it right.
TJ, and how do we find your website?
It's www.insignary.com.
Okay, and how do we spell Insignary?
INSIGNARY.
Now, Insignary, and I'm thinking binary, and binaries are signed. Where are we going with this?
Well, actually, the Insignary, the name comes from a combination of insight and binary. So what we do is that we give you insight.
It's not signatures, it's insight.
Yes. We give you insight into the usually, this mysterious black box called binaries.
So binaries are, I've got DLLs, I've got executables, I've got all different IPKs, all these different things that need to run.
Right.
And when they run, the CPU, the brain of the computer, hopefully has enough memory to handle it, and it grabs that stuff and it starts executing and it throws some things in and out of memory and things happen, magic happens. And I might get to my IO device, my keyboard and my mouse, and without that program running, I can't make a word processor work. I can't scan for a virus. I can't send and receive email. Without my binary, my computer's useless, right?
That's right.
Is it the application, or it's even components or pieces of applications? Is that correct?
Yeah.
What do you do with that stuff?
Well, binaries are great, just like you said. It is what the computers understand. And computers only understand ones and zeros. However, humans have trouble understanding, making sense out of ones and zeros. So they usually work when they create or modify software. They work in source code format. So
which is a language,
right?
And it's easy to understand. It's not ones and zeros. It's for this to do that next, or if then else. It's some form of a language. And there's many computer languages, but it's close enough, almost to English or whatever, that we can actually write something and hit compile and get a program done.
So humans can make sense of source code, but in order for it to make sense, you have to compile that source into binaries, which the computers can understand and execute. And problem is that many companies, when they deploy software on servers that they run and all the devices, IoT devices, you have big companies have thousands of servers.
They might run OpenSSL, open source, to get the SSL running, which is and open source, by the way, has kind of GPL. There's two different agreements people have come up with. One says if you modify this code and recompile, you better show me your code and share it. And another one says, I don't care what you do with it. Kind of, it's free code. Have fun. And then we don't really know what's in that compiled code if we're not looking at the source.
Right.
So keep going. This is interesting.
Right. So your open source. So open source usage is growing exponentially because these days developers do not develop software from the scratch. You already have hundreds of thousands of open source components, software that others have written. There's no reason for reinventing the wheel if somebody else had done it and tested it millions of times. And so developers, when they actually start on a project, they will search for open source software components that others have built that actually satisfies their requirements, and we'll start from there, right?
So if I'm building a web browser, you're Microsoft, you have Internet Explorer, I'm Google, I have Chrome, and she's Opera, and he's Firefox.
Right.
We all need to render a JPEG or a PNG. I don't want to write JPEG rendering code.
Right.
So I go find it. I need to bring up HTTPS. I don't want to write SSL code. I grab OpenSSL or something. those are two open sources, but I can compile them into my browser and get it done quicker.
That's right.
Is this good or bad?
I think that's a wonderful thing. I think this is what's creating this. What's increasing the rate of improvements or innovation in the software industry, because you are, instead of always starting things from the beginning, from the scratch, you are building on, top of what others have already built. And so, you could actually focus on the latest innovation, the unique differentiator that only you can bring. And this is, I think, creating all these, new exciting products, software products, exciting, companies. And without open source, I don't think, this would be possible. So open source is important, and it's ubiquitous, and the dependence on open source is actually only increasing. The only problem is that even though open source is used widely, it's not always the case that these open source components are secure. I mean,
and if I put them in, for example, I decide I need a remote support access to my Nest IoT device, and I grab a free Telnet library instead of an SSH, or I grab the wrong version of SSH that is vulnerable to exploit, man in the middle.
Exactly.
This is a great interview. www.insignary.com. Check them out, learn more. If you're in a big organization or even a small one and you're using open source components, gain the insight you need before you end up being in the same hot seat that Equifax was in. And then stay tuned again next time for an exciting episode of Cyber Defense TV.